Hello, welcome back to another fantasy football video. Hope you guys are all doing well. Game week 25 offers up an interesting prospect with 4 teams blanking and 4 teams also doubling. Amongst those blanking are popular teams such as Manchester United, Brighton, Brentford and Newcastle, and amongst those doubling are less popular teams such as Liverpool, Wolves and Everton. Now, some of you may be thinking in order to offset the blanks and really attack those double game weeks that you're going to hit that free hit button. So today we're going to be taking a look at the free hit drafts and generally just the best players in order to attack game week 25. If you are new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoy the content, and let's get straight on into this one. Firstly, we're going to take a look at the kind of core and base structure of a free hit for me. Now, the two main men in the middle there, Salah and Saka, I feel like those two guys are just going to be in every single draft. Saka, having been on really good form recently, is going to be a captaincy option, along with Salah playing for a Liverpool side that is finally finding some form. They both have good fixtures coming into the double game week, with Salah arguably having the better fixtures. I would say that Leicester and Everton are two teams that are also on a bit of a run of form at the minute, whereas Crystal Palace and Wolves have been pretty average. Both players have the advantage of taking penalties, and so I feel like it could be quite a split decision in who takes the captaincy, but it is still good to own both of them. Tarkowski at the back for me is a player that has to be in there. I feel that he is the best Everton defensive option. Seamus Coleman did score at the weekend, but Tarkowski still managed to come in with 2 bonus points just behind him. Tarkowski generally looks like the better goal threat, with Coleman just scoring an absolute stunner, which isn't going to happen week in, week out. They play against Aston Villa and Arsenal, two teams that are on quite good form at the minute, but Burnley themselves, under Sean Dyche, have really solidified at the back, and I feel like Tarkowski has to be in the team for me. And then we've got Erling Haaland up front. Just generally, I feel like the effective ownership of Haaland is so high that even on a double game week, you still have to own him, especially when they do play against Bournemouth. He missed a couple of sitters in the Forest game, but over the course of a season, he'll be putting those in the back of the net. And some people may even still decide to captain him because he is that good of an option. So let's take a look now at how we're actually going to build up the team. Starting with the defence, you can see here that we've gone for that double Everton defence. Now, I don't, to be honest, really absolutely love this. But for this game week, I think that it is probably one of your best options in terms of defensive prospects. Most of the single game week players I look at and don't really think that they're going to keep a clean sheet. The only other team that I can really see keeping a clean sheet is Manchester City, and they've been pretty woeful at the back recently, conceding consistently in the past few game weeks. You'll notice here that I've actually not put a Wolves defender in. Wolves defenders are looking quite popular going into this game week. For me, I just think Wolves are a bit of a trap this game week, especially from a defensive point of view. They have 2 away fixtures against 2 teams that are on quite good form at the minute. Fulham so far this season at home have been scoring goals for fun, and Liverpool at home on a turn of form. Most of you are going to be looking for at least 1, potentially 2 Liverpool attackers, and particularly targeting this Wolves game. Wolves have also only kept 1 clean sheet away from home this season, so for me it is a steer clear of Wolves assets. In terms of attacking prospects from Wolves, none of them are particularly nailed, and generally they're just not really scoring many goals either. Then the other defenders we've gone for are Trent and Gabriel. Now with Gabriel, you could go for the likes of Zinchenko, Saliba, or even White. I would personally probably go for Gabriel or Saliba if you want to be safe. Zinchenko looks like he's got some decent attacking output after scoring against Aston Villa. Gabriel, though, still on the better expected goals. Saliba, in terms of bonus points, has been better. So I think it is really a kind of flip of the coin between the likes of Gabriel, Saliba, and Zinchenko. And here I've gone for Gabriel. Now, Trent, for me, is very close to being that kind of core group of players. He's had He's been on quite good form of late and should, I think, have back-to-back assists. How he didn't get that assist for Gakpo in game week 23. I don't quite understand really, but hey ho. He did end up picking an assist against Newcastle, and Liverpool defensively, they are now keeping clean sheets. I wouldn't say they look particularly defensively solid, and Newcastle, even with 10 men, were still able to break them down, but their fixtures do look good. They play against Palace and Wolves, two sides this season who have struggled to score goals, so it could bode quite well for Trent Alexander-Arnold. One player that I may well introduce into this kind of lineup is Robertson. I think the double up on the Liverpool defence could be an interesting prospect. The only reason that I didn't go for it is that Liverpool's defence to me still looks a little bit shoddy. But in terms of two players that are likely to get full 90 minutes, I think Robertson and Trent look quite good. And Robertson should have scored against Newcastle, decided to pass it across to Salah instead when he easily could have gone for goal himself. And so currently this is how the defence lines up. As I say, I don't think that any of the single game week players really appeal to me in terms of defensive prospects, and so I've gone for a full double game week lineup for the defence. Then taking a look at the midfield. Obviously, we already have Salah and Saka in there. I've gone for Odegaard as the third Arsenal player. Now, people may look towards Nketiah, even Trossard, maybe Martinelli, or I feel like Martinelli's kind of a little bit out of the conversation now, even though he did come on and score. It's quite clear that he is going to be getting benched in games, whereas the likes of Odegaard and Saka are not. They're going to play every single game, and Nketiah is also playing every single game at the minute. For me, Odegaard is a better option than Nketiah. He only picked up one assist against Aston Villa and still managed to pick up all 3 bonus points, which is kind of a testament to how well he is playing at the minute. And so for me, I think that Odegaard is the better out of him and Nketiah. I've gone for Cody Gakpo as well in the midfield. Now, you could go for Darwin Núñez as well. I think he's a pretty decent option. Núñez may well be injured though, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one. But for me, I tend to like going for the midfielder over the attacker, just because generally they get more points for doing less. And so I do have Gakpo in there. One thing to say about Gakpo is that he did get taken off in the 59th minute against Newcastle, and so we've got to be a little bit wary on his minutes. We'll see how many minutes he gets in the Champions League, and that give us some good information as to kind of how many minutes we can expect him to get at the weekend. If it's looking likely that he may get benched in one of these 2 games, then I think getting Robertson in ahead of him could be a good shout. And then finally, we have our first single game week player, Riyad Mahrez, tagged on to the end of the midfield there. He got benched against Nottingham Forest. He's likely to play in the Champions League game midweek, but after they did drop points against Forest, I can see Mahrez playing in this Bournemouth away fixture. And with a bit of a rest, I think Mahrez can have a really successful game week in at game week 25 and potentially even outscore some of the doublers, because he could quite easily grab a haul in this game. So you can see here that I've gone pretty midfield heavy, with the core really being Salah, Saka, and I would say Odegaard. Mahrez for me in there is also a pretty... I would say Mahrez for me, I wouldn't look to change him out for anyone. Maybe you could go for a Dwight McNeil on a Wobie, but I could see Mahrez outscoring both of those with the one game week that he has. I think Gakpo is the main one for me that is kind of up for debate as to whether to change him to another option. So taking a look into the attack, and the attack is pretty boring, to be honest. We've already touched on Haaland with the fact that I just think he's still a must-own this game week, with his effective ownership being so high. A single game week against Bournemouth away from home, he could easily haul, and if you don't own him, I think you could be in a little bit of trouble this game week. Same with Kane. He's also reasonably highly owned. I think generally they just don't look like too many good attacking options, especially from the double game week teams. Amongst the Everton attackers that they have, the 3 of them, they've scored 2 goals all season between them, so that kind of sums up the potential there. And the Wolves attackers don't look particularly great either. They're all getting consistently rotated, and neither of them are outputting any kind of a threat. So I think the single game week players are the ones we're going to have to look for in look toward in terms of attack. And for me, it's got to be Haaland and Kane. Now, you could go for Nunez or Nketiah, but those two would be replacing Gakpo and Odegaard instead of Haaland and Kane. So for me, Kane and Haaland make the cut in this free hit draft. So this has been a quick little look at a free hit draft ahead of game week 25, the double/blank game week. As mentioned, I do think that the likes of Wolves are a bit of a trap going into this game week. I don't really see them keeping a clean sheet, and I don't really think their attacking options are particularly good either. You have got the likes of Manchester City, who have a good single game week fixture, and I also think that West Ham can potentially be looked at as well with a home fixture against Nottingham Forest. But if you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help me out. Subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.